slide or bottleneck guitar. Really interesting and fun style of playing. Now there are a lot of things, a lot of different ways you can do it. I'm just going to give you a little bit of a background here first, and that is that W.C. Handy, who claimed he invented blues, jazz, and everything else afterwards around the turn of the 20th century, reportedly heard somebody playing on a New York street the guitar with some sounds he had never heard, and he came over and saw somebody playing with a knife, using the metal edge of the knife to act as the fret. Now what happens with a bottleneck, there are a lot of different ways of doing this. This one is a good example of an actual bottleneck from a wine bottle. It was cut off, still got the lip on it and everything. But there are a lot of different styles of slides that people use. There's a traditional chrome one like this. They all have slightly different tones. Little thinner, because this one is not very massive. There are some, here's a brass one. I like the sound of this one for certain things. Now this one has a contour to it that actually makes it follow the curve of the strings, and the time I would use this mostly is if I was going to be playing something where I needed to play a lot of the strings at once, possibly in an open tuning. Right now I'm in standard tuning because the song we're going to take a look at here is Amazing Grace, and we're going to just play a simple melody. We could do this actually in any tuning, but we're going to do it in standard. So this type of slide, this metal slide with that is flared to follow the contour of the strings, is really good if I need to play all 6 strings at once. Now of course a real bottleneck, is generally flat, and it's harder to get a good tone out of all the strings unless the action on the guitar is a little bit higher. So it all sort of depends on what you're doing. So if I was going to play a single melody like Amazing Grace, I might choose the glass one for its tone. I might play the melody right somewhere too. Or I might choose the brass one if I wanted a little brighter, little brassier type sound. So it just depends. The metal one will cut through a little bit more, the glass one will be cut through other instruments, and the glass one will give you a little softer but purer sound too. So the couple things I'll talk about in the next segment, I'll show you close-ups of what the left-hand technique and right-hand techniques. But the one thing you have to understand, a little bit of the physics of what's going on, is that when you press down on the string, on say the 7th fret of the guitar, what you're doing is using the metal fret to act as an endpoint for the vibrating string. So now it's vibrating from the saddle here to the 7th fret. First thing you need to decide when you're going to play bottleneck is what finger should I put it on. I like the 4th, but a lot of people like the 3rd. In either case, you want to use your other fingers to lay flat on the strings behind it, killing the notes behind. So one of the most important, well, no, there's about 16 important things. So I'm just going to go through a few of them one at a time. In order to get good tone out of note, I'm at the 7th fret right here on my guitar. I know you can't tell because I don't have the dots, but if I play this note at the 7th fret, I'm playing the 2nd string. And if I'm not deadening the strings behind with my other fingers, it's going to sound like this. That extra vibration and back buzz is the other part of the string making noise. So it's really important that you mute the back part of the strings by having your other fingers touch them all. So generally do that all the time. There might be once in a while you want a little different effect, but that's it. So major technique number 1, keep your hand flat on the guitar like this, and your other fingers touching the strings very lightly. You really have to develop a really light touch. And again, it helps to have the action on the guitar fairly high for this. Especially electric guitar players, Eric Clapton, Duane Allman, if they were going to play slide on their Les Paul, they might have one specially set up with higher action than they would for the lower one. The right hand in bottleneck technique you can do it either using your fingers or using a pick. It kind of depends what sound you're looking for and which one you're more comfortable with. But the right hand has a really important job. Not only does it have to hit the notes, it has to mute other notes so that they don't continue to sound when you move around. So when I played that D scale with the left hand, I started with the note at the 7th fret, but I was playing with all 4 of my fingers touching strings, using my thumb on the 4th, my index on the 3rd, my middle finger on the 2nd, and my ring finger on the 1st. And I'm going to start that scale again by holding all my fingers here, but I'm just going to pluck the note on the 3rd string with my index finger. And then I'm going to use that same finger to hit the 9th fret. But now I'm going to put my finger back on that string and use my middle finger to play the 7th fret of the 2nd string. If you play it with a pick, you have to do the same. You have to use the side of your thumb and the side of your index finger to kill a string. Now right here I'm going to hit a note at the 7th on the 3rd string. Well, get out the tablature to Amazing Grace. And this is just a very simple song. It only uses 4, 5, 6 notes of the D scale, all up in the 7th, around the 7th, 5th, 7th, and 10th frets. And the rhythm accompaniment to this would just be a very simple 3/4 strum. So if we're going to play this, the rhythm guitar part, we're just going to strum in 3/4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, to G, and back to D. So in the play along segment, you can work on that and practice playing along with it. But now, let's take it one measure at a time. Now the timing, this song has a pickup. It comes in, the melody comes in on the 3rd beat. 1, 2, 3, 1. So what I like to do on that, and that's what the slide, the dash into the 7, the very first note, is indicating that we slide in, and this is where it's sort of up to you how fast or slow you want to do it. There was a fairly quick slide. You can make it a little more gradual. So this is our first chance to work on muting with our right hand. Although in this particular case, it doesn't create any dissonance that we can't live with if you slide up to the 7th fret on the 4th string, to the A, and then go to the D without killing the A. Here's what that would sound like. Not bad. Now I'm going to kill the A by, again, touching it with my thumb as I plucked out that note, or if I was playing with fingers, I would put my thumb back on the string and then use my index finger to hit the D. I will strum through the chords for you a couple times here. We'll run through the verse twice with a metronome so we know we're in time, and you can practice playing your slide to this. Now you could always practice this, of course, slower or faster, whatever. I'm going to set the metronome at 64. We'll have 2 measures of an introduction. So you'll hear 1, 2, and 3, and 1, 2, 3, and that's where you need to come in with that. Here we go. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, now. I'm at the beginning. Here's a G.